Are you still tipping 20%?
No, I'm not. 15 if it's like really, really good service. I mean, if I'm blown away, 20, but it's like times are tough, man. Economy is killing me. Yeah.
Not 20, no. Probably 10 to 15, or it depends on like how much I ordered. It's too expensive these days. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I'm actually a server.
Tipping on takeout, yes or no?
No, 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 no. Unless someone's like bringing it to my table, no way.
Takeout, I'd say no. Definitely no.
I do, but not as much as I would if it was in person. What's the lowest tip you've ever left and why?
0. I got abandoned on like a patio by a server one time. It was a tough bounce. It was on a date.
Well, it was an accident. I meant to tip $5, but I tipped like 50 cents.
15%, but that was like before I worked in the restaurant industry.
Can we settle this once and for all? Are we tipping every single time that we go to a coffee shop? I tip whenever I go to my local coffee shop because it's my local coffee shop. They know my name. They just give me service that I think is worth rewarding. But I don't go to my local coffee shop every single day. I go to different coffee shops. And I feel embarrassed whenever I don't leave a tip. So I'm leaving a 20% tip every single time. And sometimes that 20% is over $2. So is everyone tipping every time they go to a coffee shop? Like, can you guys tell me so I'm not out here embarrassing myself?
Look, I'm not one to complain about restaurants or anything like that or tipping, whatever. It's all whatever to me. That was the shittiest experience I've ever had in my entire life. We walk into there, they didn't talk to us for what, 15 minutes?
We're the only people in there.
Only people in there, no one's there. Last time we came, there was one other table, and we just stood there at the front for like 5 minutes, no one came to us. They sit us down, the waiters are all chopping it up with random like friends that walk in and out, having a play date. We're just sitting there, like no one's come to us, it's 15 minutes in. Then this lady walks over to us, most awkward experience ever. Like just looks at us, what do you want? She was like, may I please do a water? And just stares at her, says nothing. She said nothing, right?
She didn't say anything.
But this is the part that pisses me off. And then I'm expected to tip. Bro, we didn't get chopsticks. We got nothing. We didn't get chopsticks. The waiter was flirting with his friends. We didn't get... No one served us.
He was like moving our stuff around weird. Like
Yeah,
setting
bro.
up the table while we were there.
Yeah, our table like came, set up the table after we got the food.
It's okay.
But we have to tip. And before any of y'all say anything, I already tipped 22%. All right, I tipped well. Peace.
So good job, tourists coming to New York City. You've pissed off the bars and the restaurants, and frankly, I love it myself. So here in the United States, where the tip culture has gotten so out of hand that even self-service at supermarkets now include a tip option, I kid you not, that is really a thing now. The tourists that have come to New York City from other countries where they don't have a tip culture are not leaving tips at the bars. And because of the way the system works here in the U.S., the fact that studio apartments in New York City can run you between $2,500 and $3,500 a month US, which by Euro standards would be about $2,200 to about $3,100 a month for a studio, by the way, not even a first one bedroom. The wait staff is paid below minimum wage because it is legal. All of you out there probably know this. All of you mock that. I'm not blaming you on the slightest. On my side, I have that reverse counterculture thing where I go to places like England, France, Japan, and I don't have to pay it. And by the way, I want to point out additionally, a lot of times your tax is built in. So if the bill says 15 euros, it's 15 euros, not 15 plus tax. So that's something that's a little bit of an adjustment. Props to you guys for that. But what's happening now is that a lot of the restaurants and the bars are adding a mandatory 20% gratuity to offset for the lack of tips. So that $30 burger and fries that you got, which actually sincerely is actually how much it's running in a lot of places in Manhattan, not even like the upscale places, just the average places, that $30 burger and fries is now going to run you about 36 bucks. That $15 beer is going to run you probably 18, 19, however the math works out. So the good news for you is you don't have to sit there and figure out the tip calculator. You don't need one. They're doing it for you. And yeah, it's just going to get more expensive. Let me know your thoughts.
Don't get mad when I say I'm not tipping. I worked in the service industry for 15 years. I waited tables. I busted my ass for money. The tipping culture nowadays is toxic. It's incomprehensible. You're telling me I just walked in and used a kiosk to order my own food, went up to the counter when you called my number, got my own ketchup, my own straw, my own napkins, and you want me to tip you 20%? And then on top of that, why do these tip machines start at 25%? It's not fair. If I'm going through Starbucks, sue me. I don't care. I'm not tipping you unless you give me exceptional service. If I pull up and you say, what can I get you? Anything else? And then you expect me to leave you a tip for doing your job, you're crazy. Talk to the people that own Starbucks. They have a lot more money than I do. They should be paying you a better wage if you want to make more money. It is getting out of control. In 2026, tell me why a roofer is asking for a tip when they're done with their job. The roof just cost me $40,000, sir. You want me to leave you a tip? I had to sell an organ to get.
Can we talk about tipping for a second? Tipping culture has got so out of hand. I'm sorry, boo, but like, not everything needs a tip. I worked in a job where we did not have a tip jar. We didn't ask for tips. We actually technically were not supposed to take tips. But you know what? We gave some damn good customer service and I would get some tips. You have to actually be giving the people good service when they're coming into a service place, service job. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is. If you're making the coffee, if you're making the food, if you're serving them, if you're whatever you're doing. Just because you do the bare minimum of your job description does not give you the entitlement or of getting a tip. Okay? I would receive $40 tips, gift cards for Starbucks, Dutch Bros, Pete's Coffee. I had customers come in every year after I helped them to give me Christmas cookies and a card. I got tipped from people that worked at Dispos. Oh, my favorite. But that is because we did a good job. That is because we went above and beyond and gave them 100% of our effort. And they noticed it. They clocked it. They were like, oh, they're doing their job. They're not only doing their job, but they're providing me a good experience that I probably wouldn't have received elsewhere. Okay? So if all you do is look up at me and say, hi, what would you like? Take my money, hand it to me, and you don't even say you're welcome. No. And I'm sorry, if you're working somewhere that is not paying you like enough to where you like super rely on those tips, which I get are a lot of jobs, like, I'm sorry, but like, if you want to make more money, try another profession. Try a different service job that could get you more in tips, a different restaurant, being a bar back, like anything, like, try the bar, try, like, there's so many different positions you could have. So many different places, and I understand the job market really super shitty right now. So bad. I totally get that. But don't sit here and expect me to tip you $20 if you don't even smile at me. Ask me how my day was. Joke around with me. I don't know. I would sit there with people. I worked at T-Mobile. I would sit there with people for whether it was 30 minutes or 4 or 5 hours. Give them the same amount of respect and attention and service. Because I've spent 30 minutes with someone that tipped me the same amount that I spent 6 hours with somebody. And mind you, that 6 hours was worth like a $40, $60 tip. And that same person that I spent 30 minutes with tipped me the same amount because of the service I was giving them. Doesn't matter if it was a family that was going to be spending a crap load of money with me or one single person walking in that had a simple issue. It does not matter what it is. You don't know who's walking up to you. You don't know who's at your table. You don't know who's ordering. You have no idea who you're talking to. So be respectful. Give it your all. Smile and be nice. And stop complaining and stop expecting it. Because you're not entitled to anything. Literally. Except for your hourly wage. I don't know. I just don't understand why tipping has become something that is like just expected and not something that's optional anymore. Because if I don't think I'm receiving good service, or if you're being rude to me, or if something's off, whatever it may be, I am not entitled to give you my money out of my pocket. Would you? If you received the service that you gave, would you tip? No, you wouldn't. So how about we stop being hypocrites and just be nice and maybe work on deserving that tip. And I know, listen, this is going to piss a lot of people off, but this is just opinions. And guess what? There's like 1 billion people on the planet. So there's 1 billion different opinions. It doesn't matter that much. It's not that deep, okay, sweetheart? But I just wanted to give my 2 cents because it's really, really annoying.
I don't know if this is normal, but it bothered me. Maybe it's just me. I went to a bar and I ordered 2 drinks. And I gave her my card and I said, can we just close the tab? I'm only going to get these 2 drinks. We were watching one of the games for the World Cup. Then we were going to leave. So I'm waiting for her to give me the little machine back so I can put the tip in. That sounded so bad. I digress. I wanted her to give me the machine so I can, input how much I wanted to do for tip. I was going to give her 20% or whatever because it was 2 drinks. Point being, she gives me my card back and she doesn't give me the machine. And I'm very confused. I'm like, what do you give me the machine? And she goes, oh no, I already did 20% for you. But I didn't tell you that. How did you know that I wanted to give you 20%? What if I wanted to give it to you in cash? So why did you just assume, I was going to give her 20% regardless, but shouldn't I, the customer, be the one to do that? Is that a New York thing now that bars are doing? First of all, she was being a bitch. So, she was being a bitch from the get-go, even when she took my order. So I was like, whatever, maybe she's having a bad day. It's not that I wasn't going to tip her. I was going to give her a 20% tip. But why did you do it yourself? Why did you think you had the right over my money? I don't know. Maybe I'm the problem. I just think that's so weird.
If you can't afford to tip, then you can't afford the service. But what if I need the service? What if I need the service and I can't afford to tip and I can't afford the service, but I need the service? And not tipping makes the service more affordable. And I need it. Then what?
So have you seen this? Yeah? World Cup tourists aren't leaving tips and restaurants are fighting back by adding 20% automatically. Listen to what you've just said there, yeah? Adding 20% automatically. Now here's the thing, right? In America, a lot of restaurants are paying their staff $3 an hour. And then the 20% tip is what tops their wage up. So finally you figured out that if you add the 20% on beforehand, yeah, onto the food, then people wouldn't have to tip and you're actually paying your staff a livable wage. Oh no, it's mental, isn't it? And then they can still get tips if people want to give them tips without being forced to give tips. I mean, it's took for the World Cup to you to realise that this is what you should be doing anyway. You absolute bunch of spanners. America, fuck yeah. Weirdest country in the world.
This morning, I decided I'm officially going on strike from every single vendor that asks for a tip outside a restaurant because I clocked it. The last 3 days, I've made 10 purchases, 9 of which I've given a tip to, and they have not said thank you. Most recently this morning, Starbucks. $9 and whatever cents left a whole dollar, a whole ass dollar. Back in the day, leaving $1 in a tip jar, you got a bell ring, a high five. I didn't even get a thank you. So I'm going on strike. Do your goddamn job. And I'm just not going to tip anybody anymore because I am overly generous. I'm the 25 to 30% tipper. And I'm over this tipping culture. I'm over the people. I'm over the entitlement. I know what minimum wage is. Let me tell you, fools. I worked in the early 2000s when minimum wage was 5 and change. I used to babysit 4 kids for $5 an hour. So I don't want to hear this. You're making like $15 to $20 an hour. You don't need my dollar. And especially if you don't say thank you. So I'm over it. Judge, I really don't care. Be better. Acknowledge people giving you their hard-earned dollars for you to type in a freaking thing in your computer. And guess what's also happening? I'm not rounding up either. I've just hit that level. Anyways, have the day you deserve. Cheers.
I actually think it's immoral to tip in certain circumstances like the one I'm about to show you. You are actively making the world a worse place to live by allowing yourself to be guilted into tipping for things where we don't already have an established norm for tipping because you're contributing to predatory practices. And I'm sorry, some of it is actually predatory. Like this guy posted that he stayed at an Airbnb and got this message afterwards saying that they, quote, expect a tip from their guests, which is just incredible audacity in terms of phrasing, first of all. Of course, they include their guilt trip tipping levels, implying that you're insulting them if you only give them $15 or so. And I use Airbnb because in my opinion, it's a clear example of something that historically no one has tipped for. I'm pretty sure you're not even supposed to ask for that. If it costs more, say that when the person is actually booking the Airbnb, but you don't need the bait and switch afterwards. And this applies to a lot of things. I have been asked for a tip on an oil change. An oil change. I have no idea if you did a good job. It's an oil change. I paid for my oil to be changed. There was a transaction. I exchanged money for goods and services, and that was the transaction that I agreed to when I pulled up. And the oil change guy is not making a tipped wage. He already makes above a minimum wage. I waitressed where I made like $2 an hour. Tips are an expected part of the wage. That's different than an oil change, and it's different than someone who owns an Airbnb. I'm not against rental properties, I'm not against landlords and things like that, but it's your job to choose a property and prices that are actually profitable for you. That's not my problem. But the reason I call it immoral to tip in this sort of situation is because it's contributing to the type of culture where no one has honest prices anymore. And yeah, you probably will feel a little guilty saying no to someone like this because the message is meant to make you feel that way. But you are an actively better person if you do say no because you're contributing to a better world for everyone else.